In this case, two men, Halloran and Reynolds, were charged with burglary for having broken into a room at a motel. They stole money from the room, which was being occupied for 1 week by a man named Alan Williams. They were arrested, charged, and convicted. Now, most references and citations for this case call this case the Crown and Halloran, but in fact, Halloran pleaded guilty, and it was Reynolds that contested the charge. He appealed on the grounds that burglary involves breaking into a dwelling house. Breaking into anywhere else is still obviously a criminal offence, but burglary relates specifically to breaking into a dwelling house. The Criminal Code defined dwelling house as including any building or structure or part of a building or structure which is for the time being kept by the owner or occupier for the residence therein of himself, his family, or servants, or any of them. The argument on appeal was that for the time being must be some substantial period of time, and certainly more than just a week. Counsel for Mr. Reynolds referred to a famous 17th century English dissertation called Hale's Pleas of the Crown, which is regarded as an authority, and which distinguished between a permanent lodger at an inn and someone occupying a room at an inn on a more temporary basis. It was an ingenious way to try to avoid the charge, but ultimately it was doomed. There seems little doubt that the purpose of the charge of burglary is to provide special protection for people in the places where they sleep and keep their possessions. It follows that a motel room, even overnight, is a person's dwelling house for the purpose of the legislation. Justice Hanger dealt with the matter very fairly, finding that the motel room was a dwelling house, but then entering a plea of guilty on Reynolds' behalf, so that he could be sentenced as though he had pleaded guilty and not as though he had contested the charge. From this case, we confirm that burglary does not just apply to a person's primary place of residence. It also applies to places like motel rooms, hotel rooms, and caravans, where a person is living temporarily, even overnight.